Hey everyone!
Hello, welcome back to the channel. On today's video we're going to be talking about how to get a pen license. This is something that comes up a lot in schools. Lots of children are desperate to get their pen license and to move from writing in pencil to using one of those special pens, and it's actually a really good motivator. How do you think? What do you think about pen license?
I feel like it's a double-edged sword because, there are those children that strive to achieve it, but then at the other end of the spectrum are people that aren't going to achieve it. So it's almost like, I feel like in some schools and in my school, what we do now is we kind of put some guidelines in place for those children that probably won't be able to achieve it by the end of year 4, what they would need to do specifically so that when they get to year 6 they do have it, because by the time they get to year 7 they can use a pen, they can literally use whatever they want. But it's always that thing in primary school that everyone wants to achieve. They want to get their certificate, they want to write in pen. Children in my class, it's almost like a competition.
Yeah, and it's interesting as well. I mean, the idea behind it is that we try to encourage children to write with cursive handwriting, to join their handwriting, and that's how they achieve their pen license. And it's all about the reason why, why are we asking children to do this? And the idea behind it is that joining your handwriting is seen as a more time efficient and effective way of writing. And further down the line, when they come to do exams, I don't know if you remember, but when you're writing in exams, particularly GCSEs, A-levels, you have to write pages and pages of writing. Your hand is killing by the end of it, and you've got like a claw.
It's difficult though, because some children have, their books are immaculate. They've got beautiful handwriting, but it's not joined. And obviously, they can't get the pen license unless the handwriting is joined. But I know for me, as someone who, even now, I would take pride in my handwriting, but I still have different styles of handwriting. So if I'm writing at school, I would obviously use my cursive writing. But if I was writing someone a birthday card, I may use my other different kind of, unjoined writing.
So yeah, I guess what we'd like to do in this video is, first of all, I want to talk about the progression. So what schools are actually teaching children in regards to handwriting from year 1 to year 6. And so that you guys know out there what your child is being taught and what they should be able to do by a certain year group, and then also talk about sort of some of the technicalities around handwriting, what certain words mean, and then Miss Finlay in the second part of the video is going to give a demonstration, because I have to admit she has better handwriting than me, so
I feel like you've copied my handwriting.
Yeah, I
over the
guess.
years.
Yeah. So
so it's quite similar. I wouldn't say it's to the same level, but I'd say it's very close.
If we're writing birthday cards, it's always Miss Finlay who's doing the handwriting. So that'll be the second part of the video. Anyway, hope you find some value in it. Hope you enjoy. Please like, share, and subscribe.
Thank you.
Hello everybody, so I want to share with you now the progression of skills that are required for children in handwriting when they start primary school, starting in year 1 right through into year 6. I'm just going to talk about what they should be able to do and what they'll be learning in each year group, and then Miss Finlay will have a look more at, will share advice for getting a pen license, how to do it, what a lot of schools look for when they want to give out this pen license, and really what handwriting sort of for children could look like if it was sort of best practice, and why we teach it that way, and about the fact that it helps them to write quicker when they come to do more tricky exams further in their sort of schooling lives. So you can see in front of you at the moment, this is a handwriting in the National Curriculum Progression document, and it has year 1 right through to year 2, year 3, year 4, 5, 6. So when they enter year 1, okay, they're going to really start to practice that skill of handwriting, and it's really the foundations and the basics in year one. So really getting those right. So the children being able to sit correctly at a table when holding a pencil comfortably. So a lot of children will sort of slouch on the table, or they won't sit in the correct position. But part of handwriting is just being able to hold yourself upright, first of all, in order to concentrate and hold the pencil correctly and comfortably. So with the pencil, you should really be holding it in a way that is, we call a tripod grip. So if this was the pencil here, you'd need to have 2 fingers, okay, and then a thumb like this, okay, and we call this the tripod grip. But essentially, it gives the children the best grip and control over the pencil for them to be able to sit and do their handwriting the best that they can. Then you can see further down it says begin to form lowercase letters in the correct direction, starting and finishing in the right place. I'm going to talk a little bit in a minute about where they should be starting their letters from. Then they'll start to form capital letters. So they need to make sure that the small letters are smaller than the capitals in comparison to the size, so that they understand the capital letters are bigger. Also to form the digits 0 to 9. So in year 1, they also start to do the basic math skills, and they should be able to write the numbers 0 to 9 correctly. A lot of what we see is some numbers and letters being the wrong way round. I see a lot, even in year 2, they might write a 9 and it'll look like a P, okay, because they've just written it backwards and they're still learning the difference between the two. So it's being able to form those numbers correctly with them the right way round. And then understand which letters belong to which handwriting families. Now, I'm going to talk a bit about that in a minute. So once year 1 is done, in year 2, again, it's focusing on really forming those letters correctly. And I'm going to show you what I mean in a minute, where your letters should start and how they should write them, okay? Start using some of the diagonal and horizontal strokes needing to join letters. So then moving away from just writing singular letters to then trying to join some of them with some of the joins correctly. Okay, so that's what they'll start to do in year 2. And they'll look at different joins along the way. Write capital letters and digits of the correct size. So again, really making sure that your capital letters are bigger than your small case letters in comparison. So when they do a piece of writing, you can clearly see it's a capital. And then using spacing between words that reflects the letter size, reflects the size of the letters. So to make sure that there's space, the proper spacing between words, back in school, we would say, make sure you have your finger spaces in between your words. Moving into 3-4, then they should be now using mostly joins to join their letters together. And there's a few different joins that they'll learn. And then it says increase the legibility and consistency and quality of their handwriting. So it starts to look really clear. And if you were reading it, you'd be able to tell what the letters are individually. Okay. And to make sure that those letters are equidistant, which just means the same space between each other. Okay. That letters are written on the line. And then we've got the introduction of these words, ascenders and descenders. So they can properly form ascenders and descenders. And I'll talk to you about what that means in a minute. And then year 6, it's all about that legibility again and the speed in which they can write with it still looking clear. Okay. And then also to be thinking about deciding on how they want to shape their letters and the choice they're taking over their handwriting. And does it match the task as well? So that particular handwriting style, does it match that type of writing that they should be doing? So, I mean, I've had children achieve their pen license in year 2, but only one child in my 10-year history of teaching has a child ever achieved it in year 2. But most children will be aiming to try and get it between years 3, 4, and 5, and possibly 6 as well. So we'll go through about what those letters should look like when they're trying to achieve their pen license. But at least this gives you a broad overview of what the children will learn in regards to handwriting at different different stages of their time in school. So I've got something else I'd like to show you. This is a sort of presentation I use with the children in school when I'm introducing handwriting. Unfortunately, my computer doesn't have the correct font on to show you how it would look, but if you look here in the left-hand corner, you can sort of see what the letters will look like. Not the ones here so much because the font isn't correct. Now, a few technical terms first of all, and it is good for the children to know the technical terms because, you know, handwriting is a skill. It's something that they can master and they should be able to talk about and discuss as part of their learning. So it's also worth, as an adult, as their parent or as their teacher, knowing these terms. So the children will often be taught about you need to write cursive handwriting. Now, the word cursive just means that it needs to be joined. They won't get their pen license unless their handwriting is cursive and joined. The bits that join the letters together, so those small bits, if you can see here in the left-hand corner, where the letter should start is called the lead-in. So all letters, when they're first introduced, should start from the line with the lead-in. Miss Finlay will talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And then the bits that join the letters together, these are actually called ligatures. Now, that's a technical name. I'm not saying children in year 2 need to know that, but it is good to let them know what these technical terms mean, okay? And if you have a letter with a tail, so a G, okay, or an F that goes below the line, those tails are called a flourish. And you might have heard this term before, but the technical word for handwriting is actually calligraphy. So if somebody is practicing calligraphy, they're practicing the art of handwriting. So now, just to go through, like I said before, in year 1, they'll start with the small case letters, and the same in year 2, forming them correctly. The font here is not correct. I'm sorry about that, but you see on the left-hand side how they should look, and Miss Finlay will show you more of that in a minute. And then basically you'll teach the child how to form all the lowercase letters first, okay? Without any joins at all, just forming those lowercase letters, starting them from the line using that lead-in, which is basically starting from the line to begin each letter. A lot of children will start a letter from the wrong place. Once they've been taught all of the lowercase letters, then you'd introduce the ascenders. Now, ascenders is a technical term for those letters that have they're a bit taller than the others. They have a bit that comes up at the top. So I'm talking about letters like B, D, H, K. These are all called ascenders. And it should be clear with the children's handwriting that an ascender is slightly taller than the lowercase letters. After that, we would introduce and teach them to the descenders, the opposite of ascenders. So these are ones that the letters come below the line. They sit on the line with a bit of the letter going underneath. So letters like G, J, P, Q, and Y. These are all called descenders, and they have that flourish, that tail that comes underneath the line. After that, as I said in the progression document, you would then start to teach the children the different joins. Once again, I apologize, this font is not correct, but if you look here in the bottom corner, you can see how it's supposed to look with the M, A, and I all joined. So A and I would be a join we would practice. E and E would be a join. E and A, okay, and then we practice some words that use those joins. And then another one would be I and E, okay, as in tie and pie, and we practice those joins, and then some words. And then you move on to letters that are actually joined from a different position, like letters like O, which are actually joined to a lot of letters from the top. So we look at O, joined to the A, O joined to the W, again some words with those letters. And then R as well is an interesting one because R is actually joined from the top, okay? So we would work through the different joins through year 2, and then hopefully they would be able to join most letters by year 3 and then continue to practice that through year 3. Okay, so the next stage of the video will be Miss Finlay showing you and modelling some of those joins and talking you through more specifically how to get your pen license.
Okay, so we're going to start by just modelling a few of the letters each letter should start on the line. So normally children would have a handwriting book which would have a series of lines on. I'll see if I can get that for next time. But again, like I said, each letter should start on the line. It should start with a lead in, almost like a tail. So if we think about A, it would start on the line. And what we want to try to get children to do is to ensure that all of their letters are the same size. So with an A, just go up and over, and then we have a flick. Obviously that's going to lead on to the next letter. So the next letter we'll look at is C. And again, thinking about the consistency in size. In year 2, the children will learn to join the letters together. In year 1, they'll just think about how the letters are formed. So then we'll look at E, and again, when we get children to write cursively, we try to encourage them to ensure that they don't take their pencil off the piece of paper until they finish the whole word or the letter. So their pencil stays in contact with the paper for the whole word. And we also teach them that there should be 6 legs on the floor. There should be the 4 chair legs, their 2 legs, and then depending on whether they're right or left-handed, they would have their hands to support them. Sometimes it also helps to tilt the page that they're using. So the next letter I'm going to model is an L. Now L is an ascender, so it goes up to nearly to the top of the line. And again, it can be tempting for children to do an L like that, but I would say we should really encourage them to make sure that the L is quite tight to the lead-in. And again, like Mr. Corey said, that tripod grip, sometimes you see children, I know my sister used to do it, she would hold the pencil like this, or she'd hold it in really tight. It should just be a loose grip, just lightly holding the pencil, not too tightly, so it just rests between your finger and your thumb.
Stop a second. Stop 1 second. This is annoying me. I can crop this, but anyway. Okay. Carry on.
So the next letter will be M. Now again, M's a tricky one because sometimes children might be tempted to do an M like that. But the middle line of the M should go down to the touch of the line also. And I know Mr. Corey's already said this, but the reason why we teach them the lead-ins and the flicks is that their writing flows, so each letter flows into the next letter. So we'll have a little look now at some joins. So the first join that we're going to have a look at is going to be AI. So A, I, A, I, and our A and our I should be the same size. So A, I. This will probably be one of the first joins that they learn. And again, this also links to phonics, so you can get them to, it doesn't have to be just simple joins. You can get them to practice their phonics words, words linking to their history, their geography. So the next will be E. And again, each letter starts on the line with a lead in. And my pencil does not leave the page. There is a really good website. It's called Handwriting Repeater. And what that does do is it allows the parent or the teacher to model a join up on the board, and it constantly keeps repeating it so that the children can see. We'll put a link up of an example. It shows you exactly how the join should look, and it just keeps repeating it and allows them to copy it and practice. So the next word, the next join, sorry, would be IE. And I can't stress enough the importance of that look, just that gentle grip, and making sure that the pencil does not leave the page. My posture is nice and straight, and I'm making sure that my letters are of a consistent size. I'm just showing you the joins here, but you can, so like say for example O, we might then want to practice boat, B-O. So then obviously if they've learnt these joins, a few different types of letters. So we've got ascenders, which are letters that go towards the top of the line, and then we've got D, so for example L, and then we've got descenders which go below the line, so for example P. But within that we break the letters down into short letters, high letters. So short letters are letters such as I, such as N, such as C, such as R. And then we have high letters, which are those ascenders. So H, we have D, we have B. And it's important that children know where to start these. And again, we start them on the line. So the next join we're going to look at is going to be joining to R. Now, with ER, so if I'm going to start with my E, the E is an anti-clockwise join. So it starts on the line and then it goes around. And then I go over to the R and I flick my R for my R to join onto the next letter. So ER, 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 and then we'll have a look at IR. Now, what you might do in school is to get them to practice this with another word. So for example, her. So once the children have practiced a join, they will then apply it to a word. So the next join we'll look at is IR. And if you can see, I'm just making sure that my letters are as consistent as possible and that they are the same size. And my pencil doesn't leave, or my pen in this situation doesn't leave the whiteboard. And then I'm going to look at UR. Now with joining, there are some letters that don't join. And as the children work their way through the school, they might think of, their own handwriting style and think, okay, I'm going to choose my handwriting to suit the purpose. So some of those tricky words, tricky letters, that might be difficult to join would be X. So if we think of EX, I would possibly do EX like that. So E goes and I go up like this, or E and X, but that just gets a little bit too tricky. Or you might not even want to join the X and have the X separate. So we're going to have a little look at V and W. So V, now anything that joins to a V will always join from the top. So say for example, very, V, my E will go from the top, very, V, E, R. And the same with W. So W, any letter joining to W will join from the top. So for example, we. Okay, so now I'm going to talk through a few things, a few criteria that children might need to meet in order to achieve their pen licence. So firstly, all letters should be formed correctly in the correct orientation. So, you know, if they're doing a D, for example, they would make sure that their D was closed. They would make sure that if they're doing a B, it's in the correct way and not facing the wrong way. So we need to make sure that all letters are in the correct way. Also, all writing should be on the line. So if I'm thinking of this being in my line, the boy walked. So sometimes children might tend to lift their writing off the line. You need to make sure that all writing is on the line. Again, I would say sometimes children might have a style to write towards a slant. If they're doing that, they need to make sure that the letters are facing the same way and that it's consistent, rather than going to straight to slanted. All of the letters should be facing the same direction. I would also say sizing, not too big, not too small. So not, too big so that you can't read it, but also not too small that you can't even see it. And making sure that there's, an it's called equidistant, so an equal space between each of the letters, but also an equal space between each of the lines, between each of the words, sorry. I would also say that the writing needs to be joined. So you could have my normal handwriting would be printed. And although that it's nice and neat, in order to achieve your pen license, it should be joined. So each of those letters should be joined to the other. And it should be consistent as well. It shouldn't just be, oh yeah, this is my English book, this is my neat book. The handwriting should be seen across lots of different books. So in the history book, geography book, science book. Just a final note, it can be tempting, because lots of my children this year are doing it, to join their capitals and to start adding lead-ins to capitals like this. A capital letter doesn't actually need to join to the other words. So for example, lion. The capital letter doesn't need to join, and it also doesn't need a lead-in. Numbers, so like 0 to 10, they should cover these in maths, but it's also just important to mention. I wouldn't say it was a main criteria of a pen license, but I would say it was something important to mention.